Welcome back. Have you been struggling to convert an interview? Well, this is the right video for you. In this, we are going to talk about 5 things you should avoid doing, or rather 5 things that's making you bomb your interview, not in a good way. Let's talk about that. Hi, I'm Ajit from Capshine. Capshine is a revolutionary learner together English fluency program. With Capshine, learning English is easy, quick, fun, affordable, and effective, and we promise a whole new you in 6 months or less. Let's see what these 5 mistakes are and what you should do to fix that. So here are the 5 mistakes, and I'll go into each of them and explain what it is and how you can avoid doing it. The first mistake is not reading the job description, also called the JD. We'll talk a lot about it. This essentially is the roles and responsibilities that you're applying for, or for the position that you're applying for. You might think this is obvious, but you'd be surprised how many times you don't do this. Not reading about the company. Again, you would think, if I'm applying for the company, why wouldn't I? But think about all the times that you have not. Think about all the interviews that you've taken. Did you really go through all the company profiles? Not really, right? Bombing your self-introduction. And we've spoken about this in one of our previous videos. If you bomb, or if you really do badly in your introduction, the first 2 minutes can really devastate your chances of performing well in the next 30 minutes or 1 hour. Lying in your resume, or not putting accurate information on your resume, or just not editing your resume to reflect the skills that are required. This is another mistake that we all do. And of course, not listening. And you might think, you know what, an interview is about me talking? Not really. It's also about understanding what the company wants from the recruiting manager. Right? So let's look at each of these and find out why or where you do this and how to avoid this in the future. So the job description is the thing where they list out, when they post a job, they tell you all the different requirements that the role has. While you might think that the title of the job is enough, this is not necessarily true. Many times the job description tells you very important information about what they're exactly looking for. If you haven't read it, the hiring manager is likely to reject you right at that point, because you're not going to be saying the things he wants to hear or expressing how your skills relate to the job description itself. And therefore, if you're not able to explain how your experience and your expertise relates to what the job description is looking for, you will realize that you're not impressing the panel of interviewers, right? So make sure you read the job description. It's okay if it's not a 100% match. If there is enough of a match, you will get a call for an interview. And if you show that you can take care of most of the important items in the job description, you will be able to convert the interview itself, right? The next thing, of course, is not knowing enough about the company. And this happens because we end up applying to a lot of companies at the same time. And while the roles are the same, or roles might be similar, the company profiles might be very dissimilar. For example, you might be a programmer, but you might be applying to both a technology company and, let's say, a medical instrumentation company, right? Or an accountant who's applying for a finance company and could also be applying to a health insurance company, right? So the companies themselves might be very different. But you should have some idea about what the company is. What do they do? What is the general trend of things, and what space do they compete in? If you don't know even those basics, you're likely to be rejected during your interview round. So do check out their LinkedIn, do check out their website, go to their YouTube channel, see if they have any content there. And this can tell you a lot about how they want the world to look at them and what they think they are as well. And this is great information to use when talking about the company to the interviewer. Also find out if there's anything special about the division you're going to join. This can give you a thumbs up as well. Speaking of which, make sure you check out the 30-day free trial with Capshine. With this, you get speaking opportunities, you get to learn and practice as a group, you get access to a personal coach who gives you a fluency tracker and customized feedback. You also get access to micro lessons and live classes through which you can get all your doubts clarified and build your foundational skills. Right, let's get back to our conversation. The next big no that we end up doing is we end up making a very bad first impression. But how? How can we control that? Well, do also check out our video on how to make a great impression, a great first impression in an interview. That can tell you a lot about things. But a gist of it is, If you're nervous, if you're not sure about yourself, if you're hesitant, if you use bad grammar when you introduce yourself, for example, you go in and say, myself Ajit, well, that's going to leave a lasting impression for the rest of the interview. The idea is that in the first 1 or 2 minutes, the interviewer is going to make up their mind about whether they want to like you or want to hate you, right? And everything else is going to be there to help build that opinion that they have. So, how do you fix this? One, don't wing yourself in introduction. Prepare it. Have an introduction ready. Make sure you watch that video to know exactly what I'm talking about. Giving completely irrelevant information when they ask you, tell me about yourself. Again, the video can tell you a lot about what to say here. Do check out that video in our channel. But if they ask you, tell you about yourself in an interview setting, they're not really concerned about how many dogs you have or how many kids you have or what your father did for a living. They are concerned, however, about your skills, your job experience, and they want a very quick summary of how this relates to the role that you're applying. So again, goes back to reading the JD. If you haven't done that, you wouldn't know exactly how to introduce yourself here. Now that that's taken care of, another big red flag is inaccurate resume. When interviewers see that your resume says one thing, but you say something else in your interview, that's going to raise red flags, right? So how does this happen? Sometimes we outright lie because we're applying for a position and we change things around to say, all right, I'll figure it out on the job, right? They have a way of finding if you've lied in your resume. Adding information that you cannot substantiate. So you say you've done a degree or you've completed a certification course in a particular skill, but they ask you these questions related to the skill and you have no answers, right? That's going to raise a red flag as well. Adding irrelevant information like caste, religion, that you won a dance competition in your school, unless you're applying for a job that requires that, don't add irrelevant information. So the gist is, one, it's ideal to create a resume that's very crisp, that's related to the job or the role that you're applying for. Add the key skills and the projects you've worked on and the achievements you have with respect to this, and do not lie or fabricate information. They will find it out eventually, right? And of course, the final problem, and this is very, very common, a lot of interviewees end up very stressed out about telling the interviewer about everything relating to themselves because they want the interviewer to have a full picture. Unfortunately, this backfires. What they do is they don't listen to what the interviewer has to say. Remember that if you've been called for an interview, they don't necessarily want to know everything about you. They're looking for very specific things about you, maybe your personality, maybe to check if your skills match what you've said in your resume, or just to get a read of you as a person, right? So let the interviewer set the role, set the pace of the interview. Listen to what they're saying, listen to the question they're asking and think about why they're asking it. Give them relevant answers depending on that. So for that, you have to listen carefully. So when the interviewer speaks, carefully listen to the following things. The questions they ask, any relevant information that they share. They may tell you that, you know what, for this role, these added benefits are there or these added responsibilities come with it. Don't just nod your head and smile. Think about it. Ask relevant questions related to it. It will impress the interviewer. Responses they give for the questions you ask. So of course, you should ask questions during the interview as well. But when they answer it, pay full attention, right? Ensure that it's a conversation, and as always, conversations can only happen if you listen to what the other person says. It's not just all about you. Great. These are the big 5 things that people do that really bomb their interviews. Try to fix these, be aware of this, and I'm sure that you'll have better success in your forthcoming interviews. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification to not miss a video like this. And of course, do check out your 30-day free trial at capshine.com or from the App Store searching for Capshine. Thanks for watching.